1 live.
Farts. Old farts. 2 old farts. Steve and Dave. Sometimes you find a diamond in the rough. Not this time, though. This is just rough. 2 old farts. There is no better waste of time. Two guys. 2 old guys. A lot of BS and more drivel than you can shake a stick at. Steve and Dave. God help us.
There's that God guy again. You keep bringing.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah. I'm just saying. We never see him. I mean, we see him on Thursday on poker night.
Well, actually, I think he's dyslexic. So I think it's the dog that he keeps.
The dog.
About. So
Very good.
The dog is back. The dog is back.
Very cool. I always thought that'd be cool if you taught a kid that, like, if you instead of calling a chair, you teach him it's a dog, and you teach him a dog is a chair. And when he goes to school for the first time, the teacher tells him to take a chair. He goes, "There's no chair here." I thought that would just be funny. Never mind. I'm just sick like that. Well, anyway, our guest today.
Unfortunately, Stephen, you are not the comedian, but
yes, thank God. we have a professional on our show today.
Yeah.
Who's been on our show before, Mr. Greg Shapiro, and he is out of the Netherlands, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today. I understand. I'm very excited, and he may actually come back again after this. I think. Once we release his family, I think that was the deal. I think it was. For sure.
I don't know if but the trouble is, of course, if you send Mario and the boys to Amsterdam, they're all going to get stoned and not go home. So
that's why we don't send them out of New York City, because they can't handle it. Should we add Mr. Greg?
I think so. We should stop all the cheesy jokes and let the professionals move the show forward, Stephen.
I like it. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Shapiro.
I'm back.
Hi, Greg. He's back. Yeah,
he's back.
Where have you been?
Right. Yeah, I've been here. I've been here all along. All you had to do was click your heels. Isn't that lovely?
Click your heels 3 times, and there you go.
But you
this time.
Yeah.
I like it.
But you've been super busy, Greg. So that's why I haven't been able to get hold of you and plead with you to come back on the show, because you're doing something new and exciting.
Yes. And I've been, working on a couple of new projects that I'm not at liberty to discuss yet. One of them made me grow out my mustache.
I was going to ask you about that. That was just so wrong in so many ways.
Anyway, I'll hint that I will be making a movie appearance, because Dutch people have movies too, and I will be.
Are you going to be Dick Dastardly then? Is that who you're going to be?
Something like, maybe. No, anyway, it's actually the mustache didn't make the cut. I mean, it got cut. my mustache is on the whisker room floor. Anyway, so
can you tell us the name of the movie, or you can't tell us the name of the movie?
The film's called Krazy House.
Krazy House, okay.
Krazy House with a K, set in the 90s. And it is, it's going to be.
So it was going to be a porno moustache that you had on then. We do it. Is it one of those Dutch films?
It's either child toucher, porno,
oh my God,
or cop.
And he's got a white van out front just in case it is the child toucher. So, or a 1970 cop. It almost looked. Yeah, because I saw you with the mustache. It's almost like Village People 1970s.
It wasn't quite, or Ted Lasso. No one's
Ted Lasso.
No one's popping that reference. Although, Jason is very happy that he grew out his own mustache for the role.
It was very so crazy. So can you say, when's it coming out? And then is it only available in the Netherlands?
Yeah, film's coming out in the fall, and then there's a VR game coming out, I think, also in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's not an 18+ porn movie then. That's
no. Although, why are we waiting for that? Right?
That's well today. I don't think 18+. David, with kids with the internet today, I don't think they really need to be 18+. I know in Europe they're trying to do. There was a whole thing in the FT and the Economist about they're trying to do the age identification. Like if you go to an adult site or any site, they're gonna. In America, they're like, we don't care. You're 7 years old, go ahead. And it's just like we don't. There's no. It's just there's a question.
No.
No, right? And there's a question that says, are you over 18?
Yeah.
Well, if you're a 15-year-old boy or girl, what are you going to go? No. I mean, then you just don't deserve to get in. But I mean, so it's really, it's kind of funny that they're trying to police something that I don't think you really police.
That's
And
gonna
I don't
be
think anybody going to a porn
facial
site is going to give them their driver's license.
That's a facial recognition. Is what they want to do it with, Steve, which makes it even
Big Brother,
more
Orwellian.
Yeah.
We're already kind of there, I think. The Orwellian society. We're just 40 years later than he thought.
You just didn't realize that instead of stealing all of our private information, we would be like, here you go.
There you go. And not make any money from it.
Yeah, right. Well, but if you're not paying for the content, you are the content. But I like to think I give good content.
There you go. I said that to a girl once. I said, you give good content, and we'll go to court next week. We'll be fine. So you have a movie, and I know also you've been on tour like a wild guy.
I've been touring. Sorry, to get back to David's prompt. Yeah. Thank you for that.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Shapiro.
I'm working on indeed. The new show is called Dutch to the Rescue. And
okay.
So
oh my God!
Getting back to having a solo show, and it's about climate and trying to share climate good news. And I already have this video project called Climate News Comedy, sharing climate good news because there's a lot of bad news. And it might be 90% bad news, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to, dismiss the 10% of good news. So that's my new project is trying to remind everybody that, there's actually a lot of progress being made on trying to, get control of the thermostat on the planet. And whether you think it's all fake or a big lie, controlling the thermostat would be a pretty good thing. And then we can argue, do you want it hotter or colder?
Yeah. Well, I think we were speaking about this before you came on. Bill Maher did a whole thing this weekend about the posers, about saving the planet, right? They're like, we're going to save the planet. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But I have to fly in my private jet to go do it. And I'm like, and then his other thing was if you're scrolling on your phone or into crypto, and he's going through all, and he's like, you're using more than most countries, like a small country would use. But the other thing, which I find fascinating, with coal production globally was like at 19%, if I'm remembering his chart correct, in the 70s. And with all this lower it, we're all going to die. It's now at 18%.
Oh, yeah.
So we haven't really done
progress.
Sure. Because everything else is going up. And the other thing is, what I get a chuckle out of, people go, we're going to go electric. Okay. Well, I don't know if you realize this, but to produce the electric for the car does something, and to actually then produce the car. And then what are you going to do with the batteries? So I've been like trying to save the planet since I'm 6.
Yeah, right.
And I'm great with that.
Yeah.
But it's sort of
you are as a consumer. It's clearly the job of the consumer to save the planet.
Yeah. But seriously, it's like everyone talks about, even when we were kids, it's like it's like, you save the plastics, you do, like they tell you all this, and then you go out into the real world, and nobody does it. So I think your comedy, I don't want to say sketch, or your comedy news is kind of it's a nice subtle way to remind people, like, hey, by the way, idiots, we're all here on the planet together. Like, let's do something.
I mean, honestly, it is.
What about
positive? Yeah.
What about Dutch? What did you say it was? Dutch? It's Dutch saving us, or whatever.
Dutch to the rescue.
Dutch to the rescue. I mean, what's that all about?
You wouldn't think that a lot of this country in the Netherlands is under sea level. What is it, like 25% of the land mass, but 60% of the population lives under sea level, and the sea level is rising. So you wouldn't think this would be a good country to stay. But and yet, you just look at Dutch culture and history, and what do they do for fun? Just pumping and digging, and like, oh, there's a new dike, and there's a whole new island. So yeah, if they run out of if there's too much water, Dutch people will do what they've been doing for centuries and just make more land. Right. And there's a Dutch guy who's part Croatian but also part Dutch. That's Bojan Slops. He's cleaning up the Great Pacific Arc garbage patch. with the ocean cleanup projects, and then I was saying, if your container ship gets stuck in the Suez Canal, who was that to come to the rescue? Boskalis, a nautical engineering company, and that's a Dutch company. And so the funny thing living in the Netherlands is that part of the culture to me is that they're like allergic to bragging. They don't want to be caught, like acting, putting on airs or something. It's part of this Calvinistic culture. So it was explained to me. But every time I remind them, like, hey, you might want to brag a little bit, or, not brag necessarily, but you could put out a press release about how, hey, that was a good thing we did. And Dutch people are like, oh, no, we don't want it. So that's my job. I'm like, Dutch enough to be proud of the Netherlands and American enough to not care how loud I am about it.
That's very cool. And on your dikes, you guys did a Dutch firm did the dikes in New Orleans, and saved them, and they didn't listen to them because they said you need to go back further. So it saves the proper. This is so stupid. It saved the city proper, but like whatever ward they're like, no, they'll be fine because they're an extra 13 meters in, and they're like, no, you need to go 50 meters in. They're like, no, it's fine. It wiped the last hurricane wiped them out. So everyone's like, oh, maybe we should have listened to the Dutch. And I'm like, and I watched a special where they built an island for like apartments, right? And it's like overnight, kind of like what they do in Monaco now. When Monaco needs land, they build an island because it's like we have no more land. So you guys are like the experts. And I'm like, when the Dutch guy says you should go another 30 or 40 meters with your dike, you should probably listen to the Dutch guy.
I was saying that is a rare case of Dutch people not being the cheap ones. It was the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It was like, nah, we'll be fine. But indeed, you mentioned building artificial islands, and whether that is in Dubai or the Persian Gulf or in Monaco, that's Van Oords is a Dutch company doing a lot of the dredging and island creating, and Mauritius, and a lot of countries that would be underwater otherwise. The Maldives, they've even like made floating cities, I think, and that's a firm in Rotterdam that's been taking charge of that project. And it's dire sometimes, to think about the sheer amount of adaptation and disruption that we're all facing, but agriculture as well, and food security. There's a lot of people, a lot of our brightest minds thinking about that and coming up with good solutions. It's just you don't hear about it, so that's why I thought, well, that's what
brag about.
That's what I'll talk about.
So at the weekend you made a comment about was it Instinct Rebellion and the farmers. How did that go down?
It was
Did they get it? Did they get it?
Oh, yes. That's a good question, honestly. I mean, how did I get roped into a show for Extinction Rebellion? I signed up for I'm on this like newsletter for upcoming shows, and they said like, oh, there's something coming up called Comedy for Climate. Do you want to join? I said, yeah, sure. I'm working on material about climate, and turns out it was for this Extinction Rebellion like awareness weekend. There were a lot of Extinction Rebellion people there, and I was like, ooh, okay. I started out with a joke about how you guys talk a lot about cleaning up the planet, but nobody thinks to bring a garbage bag to this event. There was one garbage bag just overflowing next to the stands, the stage, where the audience area. So anyway, I brought my own. I was like, I found a garbage bag because I asked the technician, and I said, yeah, that's my weird thing. I have a cleaning fetish, so I might seem like I'm not a good match for this, but I am here to clean up after you. And I don't know. I was trying to make the point that a lot of people who are like, yeah, save the planet are sometimes more selfish than you might think. That did not resonate. That did not go so well. And yet it was hugely cold at that point, like someone had left the door open, and it turns out indeed the group coming in after us had just like opened up this enormous loading door on the other side of the curtain and just left it open.
Nice.
Is there another show going on? We didn't think to check. So anyway, my joke stood up partly, but anyway, I did have there was a lot of traction actually for giving good examples, you know, or like keep up the good work in a way. And you know, fossil fuel subsidies is the big issue for Extinction Rebellion this past weekend when they were blocking the highway in The Hague and like getting a huge amount of blowback about it, but actually a lot of media attention, which is I guess cool. And anyway, they I had to repost someone else's joke. I said I wish I had thought of it, but when the farmers were protesting in the Netherlands and blocking highways and setting stuff on fire, like that was fine. You know, the government was like, oh, farmers are farmers. That's just farmers being farmers. But yeah, when these organized protests happen and they announced, here's we're gonna do it, and when, then everybody's like, no, you can't. So anyway, they should. The joke was that they should have just registered as farmers, and then they can block whatever highways they want. But anyway, that's the joke that I wish I'd thought of already for last week.
There was a guy on the news, and he was showing his hand, and he said, "Look what's happened to my hand! Look what's happened to my hand!" Yeah. And what happened to his hand is that he'd glued it to the road. And of course, and then of course, and he said the police guy could have taken it off a little bit more gently than he did. Yeah, but you're actually gluing your hand to the road. What do you expect when somebody, you know, somebody's going to take you away? Come on.
From the land that brought you, you know, European football, trying to draw the yellow card. Yes, maybe a bit over exaggerated. But yeah, I said I hope as artists, the Extinction Rebellion people are not going to try to glue themselves to the art. No artists were harmed in the Extinction Rebellion, in the Comedy for Climate show.
Yeah,
I had friends actually, even like pro, you know, climate kind of friends saying like, "Ooh, I don't know if you want to advertise that you were involved with Extinction Rebellion. They're not cool, like their tactics or whatever." But I don't know. I only found out it was Extinction Rebellion like when I was doing the show, and didn't seem like a reason to drop out. Anyway,
it didn't have it on the wire transfer when they paid you. Then
it did not get paid. It was an open mic basically.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, of course, that made me laugh is they were using all those aerosol cans, painting, you know, stop fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about the aerosol cans that you're spraying onto the concrete? So,
okay. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. And who's going to clean up that graffiti?
Yeah.
You're probably going to have to use high pressure. Anyway, I suppose. By the way, sorry, and Stephen, you mentioned something about the you know, electric cars and the batteries, and what happens to all those batteries? I mean, creating the batteries is another thing. But anyway, what happens to the battery? I did hear someone. I'm just going to pivot back. Let's see, Tom Rafferty, I think. Tom Raftery is a climate expert. I saw a futurologist at one of these conferences. He was talking about how the batteries are getting to the point where the batteries are outliving the car, or that at some point they might take the battery pack and just strip the car off, like and keep the chassis or whatever, and swap out the tires and put a new body on top of this battery pack, and then that's your new car.
But there's a company now that does, well, they're trying to do that. They have because they're saying that the battery is, you know, because of the lithium and yada, 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 is supposed to last, you know, however many years. And the body is changeable. So you literally go into like a container and it'll do two things. One, it's supposed to take out your old battery and then put in a new one to charge it every whatever miles. And then two, you can go to another container, which will literally just take your body off, put a new body on. But the problem is that all the car companies that have the best batteries are in China. Like, and which is very interesting because and I read an article the other day on this car and I keep forgetting the name and I'll remember it the minute we're done with the show. But anyway, it has a battery that does like 560 miles, which is about what? Almost 1,000 kilometers on a single charge. Tesla does like 300, but that's a Ponzi scheme, allegedly. But and then Chevy makes it. Porsche has theirs. They're all very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've driven in some of these electric cars.
Oh yeah.
And I like them to an extent. To another extent,
yeah.
It's just I don't. By the time I get them paying for the electric, but it's the same as a gas car or a combustion. And in America, there were no cars sold last year, the joke was, but they sold more SUVs and trucks and minivans than electric cars and cars. Because people still want that visceral feeling. So I know Hummer came out with an electric one. Ford has come out and Chevy and them. But I think like, people still want the vroom vroom.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
there was even a piece yesterday. I'm following a guy, Dave Pell. Dave Pell and his newsletter, which what is it called? I can picture it. Anyway, Dave Pell is his name. He was also talking about that trend, and he even said, "Here I am in California, and I just felt the urge to get a pickup truck. I'm going to get myself a new car. I'm going to trade in the car, make it a pickup truck. Don't have anything I need to haul or load."
It's just that's my American-born right.
What is it? A midlife crisis thing? Right. But a bunch of people, it's a trend. It's a thing. So
Lucid, if I may. Lucid is the car company from China. Lucid has, or maybe they're US based, but Lucid has the best battery on the market today you can buy in the United States. I know that there's one in China that I was watching a thing on, and they can do about 1,000 miles on a charge.
Not kilometers.
Not miles. No. I know the difference, right? I'm the only American apparently that does. But so they can do so there's a lot of stuff going on in China, and it's almost like I know Rolls-Royce next year is coming out with an electric car. I know Bugatti now is going to come out with their electric car because it was bought by the Croatian company that, their electric car went 300 miles an hour or whatever. And that's all very cool.
Yeah.
And even Porsche is very cool. What Porsche did is they put speakers in the back. So when you step on the gas, it goes, if like you hear it. And then I'm laughing because if you're standing outside, you're like, I don't hear anything. I mean, like you can't put your windows down on your Porsche that's electric because when you put your foot on the gas, it's just going to be really weird.
Yeah.
So, and I think electric cars are great, and I don't really care. The noise part is cool. I think the problem is that they price them to the point where it's just stupid. It's a battery. It's a battery, some tires, and
solar powered car now in the Netherlands. But again, the price. This is the joke I tried to make the other day. This is called the Lightyear, a car that is actually production ready now.
Yeah.
And so this is coming from the Technical University in Eindhoven, and they, did the innovation with the research, but then they made it work, and so they started their own company. And there are a lot of startup engines or whatever, like platforms to help researchers actually start their own company. I've done some coaching for these guys as well, because PhD students are not the best marketers. Ending your dissertation, they were like, I mean, I guess it works, but it might not work under the following circumstances. And I'm like, dude, you just need to say you have a solar powered car. Well, but it wouldn't work under no, solar powered car. And anyway, but so they were talking about it. They've made it work. It's production ready, and the starting price is 250,000 euros. But as unaffordable as that might seem to people like you and me, wealth inequality has become so extreme that for a lot of people, that's a nice little, prize.
I mean, the crypto billionaires that are now worth nothing.
They've just been made bankrupt as well. Who? Lightyear. Lightyear has? Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have to look that up. So that production model. What they've done is they have another cheaper version they're going to make. They want to try and get it under this magic 45,000 euro mark.
That'd be nice.
So everybody can get the subsidy from the EU for Dutch government. Yeah. But yeah, they went bust last week. So 600 something odd people.
Oh, thank you. I didn't have
that. So the technology, somebody will pick the technology up, and you know, they're going to make it. They're going to make another model out of it. I think.
Tesla will pick it up because Elon Musk will do it. No,
Well, talking of Mr. Musk, I watched something this morning on the BBC about, that was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen, is that, and again, I've got two Americans on the show today, so I have to be very careful what I say.
No, you don't.
Some Americans in Las Vegas, getting much dicus erectus about the fact that there's a tunnel that you can drive your Tesla through.
Yes, that's the boring technology from 1860 that Mr. Musk took from the patent office, and everybody thought he was a genius until they found it until 1869.
It didn't do anything other than sort of take you to the conference center or wherever you needed to go. You had to be in a car, in a Tesla driven by somebody else. And you were supposed to go on this carriage for 100 miles an hour. You know, but people were getting out and they were saying, wow. It's like, wow. So
wait,
just
think of
the euro.
That's not what was new about the tunnel.
Yeah, well, that's
Elon Musk. Don't wait a minute. First of all, see, this is you guys aren't keeping up with the news. Elon Musk invented tunnels. First of all, Elon invented tunnels. That's what happened.
Yeah,
so because this is because we have the Holland Tunnel in New York. Oh, I got New York in today. And because he invented a tunnel, and apparently he invented a car. So he invented a car. It drove through the first tunnel, and apparently he invented Las Vegas. And people are excited that they got to drive the first car through the tunnel he invented in Las Vegas that he also invented. Forget Bugsy Siegel and the boys, but that's apparently the story. And there you go. So
yeah, you can check it out on the BBC. Honestly, check it out on BBC Tech Link today.
But I didn't credit Elon Musk with inventing, the Tesla car
But did he?
Tunnels.
But did he? Wait. Did he really invent that Tesla? They had electric cars 50 years ago. So
the first cars ever made were electric.
Yeah, but even specifically the Tesla car. Didn't Elon Musk buy the company? Like he didn't.
Yeah, he bought the company from the guy who invented Tesla.
Yeah. So anyway, okay.
Yeah.
It's like did a very good job of depicting a guy.
Yes.
But I just had to get the bit in about the tunnel because I'm just seeing Americans go much dicus erectus about the fact they'd been in a tunnel.
And tunnel.
Like the highlight of my morning.
Well, trust me when I tell you, being an American who lived in New York City, going through the tunnels, no, not a lot of fun because you get stuck and stop. And it's like, we could care less. The bridge, all of it just sucks. So until the flying car from Honda comes out where I can get in the car and just go and it flies itself, we're good.
Flying cars, self-driving cars didn't take off, if you will.
There you go. So
self-flying cars. Hey, by the way, we were talking about the private jets or whatever, Stephen, you mentioned. But I did see something about hydrogen-powered flights.
Yes. Yeah, there's this company that's supposed to do a hydrogen-powered jet, and there was a big article, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago in the FT about it. It was fascinating. Yeah. And I guess they're a few years away, but I guess they're testing it on drones, but they're testing it on drones the size of like a 747. Yeah. And it's supposed to be really cool. Saudi Arabia said about 2 weeks ago that they want to be the leading hydrogen producer as well as oil, because they realize at some point, the oil's going to run out, so they need to do something else. And they actually have a bunch of LNG ports in Saudi. And I know the UAE, I think, is trying as well. But so I think they're trying to think ahead. But then again, when you've got like 17, and I wish I was making this number, $1 trillion, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No, it's true. Anyway, but I also hydrogen, well, whatever. Is
that not going to be another Hindenburg moment? Because these things are going to.
That's what they keep saying. They say it could be another Hindenburg. But I think what I read is the way they're doing the hydrogen now is different than the way they did it back then. First, there's no Nazis.
Right. So it's
second, because there's no Nazis, no one's going to blow up anything. No more Nazis. But what happens is that apparently the way they're cooling it and sticking it in to the bag, so to speak. If there was an explosion, it's supposed to make it that it doesn't do a Hindenburg. It would just maybe it would implode in its own bag and be done.
Well, I'm glad.
Was the
I'm
one
glad
guy said until they. But I don't. Listen, I'm not flying in any hydrogen jet or driving a hydrogen car anytime soon.
It's also really flammable. Jet fuel.
Yeah,
also
I know, right?
Highly combustible and very dangerous.
But yes.
Yeah. Oh, but there's a new green. There's a green fuel now. Huh? They're talking about green. It's all green.
No, there's been. Yeah. UCO is used cooking oil, so biofuel is a thing. There's a Dutch company, Sky NRG, which has been doing that for a while. I have to get updated. Maybe they've gone out of business like Lightyear, but yeah, it seems. Yeah, Shell also before they change their headquarters away from the Netherlands for tax purposes. They've been talking a lot about switching to hydrogen, and because it's another commodity that they can control.
But palm oil was the other one that they wanted to try. Palm oil was a big one back in when we were doing stuff with the Red and Keto Protocol. They were using palm oil.
So good for the planet, palm oil. I mean, that's not causing any damage.
Here's the problem.
We can drive and wash our hair at the same time.
Right. But here's the problem. Unless you go back to the real Tesla, Nicholas Tesla.
Yeah.
And you bring in his tower where it pulls the dark energy and gives free energy globally, or you use the power of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you're going to do to save the planet is not saving the planet.
Right.
And so the greed of JP Morgan and everybody else back in the day, when Tesla built his tower and goes, I can get you energy free. And they were like, oh no, this is a terrible thing because we can't become billionaires.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, right? Yeah. So because power companies make money, gas companies make money, if I start giving you free, how do you make money?
Yeah.
And that's the problem we're at. Until and in my opinion, until society changes, it doesn't matter. You're not saving anything. So, I joke with my stepson, he'll say something and I'll be like, dude, recycle, not recycle makes no difference. Because whether I throw it in the blue container, the white container, it doesn't matter. Because the powers to be that want to make their $1 trillion could care less.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's unfortunately the mentality. So the people that are controlling oil and they don't care. If they cared, we'd go back to Nikola Tesla's patent. Or, hey, Elon, you want to do something that's really helpful instead of just being a douchebag 24/7? This is the patent you should be stealing.
Yeah.
The free energy patent and do that. And boom, done. And but why would you do that? Then all the power companies are going to have a heart attack. But Nikola Tesla had it right. He built the tower. He goes, look. And all of a sudden people were like, oh, this JP Morgan had a meeting with, I think it was General Electric, which was Thomas Edison. I think he had a meeting with Ford. It was I read in the book and I was like, okay. And he came away from that meeting and he told Tesla, we're not backing you anymore. Knock down your tower. And they did. And that's why you have the problems you have today.
There's a great documentary about that from the 80s. I think the documentary was called Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Okay.
And it was all about how, the public transit system was getting ready to get free power. But it was the automotive industry that just pulled the plug.
I love Roger Rabbit. That's a great flick. I got the movie poster somewhere here. So.
I was a kid at the time, but even looking back, I was like, oh, wow, they really did point fingers at, automotive industry as, as killing a lot of other potentially competitor industries.
But of course, no climate news, Greg, would have meant that you won't be able to make jokes about it. So that's a killer for you as well. It's a bummer, huh?
Meddling kids.
Scooby-Doo. So no, but it's really interesting because every generation talks about it. Like when I was a kid growing up in the century one. That's the talk. We have to save the planet. We have to do that. And then, we did our part as kids and we would do our little fundraisers and it's very cool. And Greenpeace would go out and block whaling ships, which to me is like the dumbest thing in the world. Because why don't we spill some oil in the ocean? But it's sort of like, but as we go forward and, people go, oh, I have this and I have that. Okay. But let's really look at what it costs to do all of this. Instead of just saying, there's all this free energy, use it.
Yeah.
And it's like, You know, it's like, so instead of the heating bills in the EU
Yeah.
region or the United Kingdom being like, you know, €1,000 every month because it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
it's free. But
Yeah.
what do you do if you're a utility? What do we do? Oh, we can't do
Yeah.
that. All right, well, do something.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting way to start as well. First of all, you keep saying, you know, like saving the planet. And when we grew up, we had George
Right.
Carlin talking about saving the planet, but
Yep.
the joke, you know, the
Look
planet.
what happened to George. So
the planet.
I saw that.
Here.
That's right.
I saw that this week. Somebody been replaying that. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. But indeed, you know, hey, when we were growing up, at least in the U.S., we had this commercial with the Native American, you know, standing there looking at someone throwing his car, single tear rolls down his cheek. Actually, I saw a report recently like that campaign was hugely effective. And what was in like a scene in Mad Men? You remember set in the like 60s or early 60s? We're gonna have a picnic by the roadside, and when they're done, they just like
throw everything off.
And like off we go. That's how we grew up, and at least there's been an effect of people being a bit more, you know, conscious about at least their immediate environment. But still, is there? It's easy to get super, you know, cynical and depressed about, you know, the state of. You know, even if we come up with great new technologies, they'll just get killed by, you know, the corporate oil barons. But I don't know.
I'm not thinking that. I'm hoping we do. Now that we have the GIIABMOUSE iChat bot thing, I'm just waiting to put in how do we save the planet, and it's going to go kill. It's going to be like kill the humans. I mean, like, hey, I'm for this. This is good. This will save the planet. I mean, you know.
I'm telling you, I just did this VR game this week, and everything I did was like captured in 360, and they uploaded it to like, here's the avatar version of the take that you just did. I was like, whoa, cool. You know, would I be ready to upload my consciousness to that? And,
we played a VR game this weekend for a belated birthday gift for my son.
Yeah.
We put on the headset and the goggles and all this other crap, and we fought aliens for an hour. And I was like, oh, and they did it. We got the video of it, and we're all these like robot things, and they're like, I was like, well, this is interesting. So I was like, okay, so this is fun, but like, okay, now what can we do with this? Like, how can we make things better and type of thing? So I'm not worried. I'm not poo-pooing new technology. I'm all for new technology, and the oil companies can, you know, bite my, you know what, because I don't really care. I just want someone to come out with something that really does. Something to help the planet, not the chick in the sailboat who probably doesn't shave her legs or her arms. I could care less about that. Not Ed Begley Jr., who's been an environmentalist since like I remember him on St. Elsewhere, and he has a house where he pedals to get electric. God bless him, right? He has a Prius, whatever. So I'm all for Ed, but I want someone to really come, you know, not Ponzi scheme boy, but another billionaire that says, listen, we can give the people this, and I don't mean a flying plane to give them free internet. I'm talking about how do we give power to the people who need it, and really just go back to Nikola Tesla's here's the free power, and not tell anybody for a while and say we power a whole city this way. I'm even okay with solar. I have
the Netherlands doing that with poop.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the city of it's Snits or Snake, depending on or Sneak. SNEEK, and they're up in Friesland, and I think they've got at least a whole neighborhood that has been taking their what do they do? They take their like waste, and instead of putting that into a you know, water sewage treatment plant or whatever, they put it into an anaerobic digester.
Okay.
And, so I think they've got a heat exchanger as well, and they're, you know, getting some of the heat from like they have heat pumps, I guess. I'm not an expert, but I did hear a radio report about it. There's a woman, an American woman, who wrote a book about this as well. And anyway, so I'll be sorry, get my sources straight. But I believe the upshot is that you know, they have enough energy coming out, or is it compressed natural gas? No, that's the other guys. That's from compost. But these guys, from human waste, I believe they're able to like, you know, heat their homes.
Oh, wow.
And, so they are like off grid in terms of gas, and then think maybe they get electricity somehow as well. I have to double check. But yeah, sometimes there's so many solutions that you hear about, and you ever have that experience, where you're just like, why isn't everybody doing this?
Right.
I'm just thinking to myself, if we can heat ourselves through, basically through bullshit, then we should just, get every politician on the planet, signed up for that one. We'd never be cold again.
Yeah.
Well, Trump just got back on Facebook, so that should keep the whole planet warm for the next 12
back
months.
On Facebook? Yeah,
he's back on Facebook. They reinstated him on Facebook and Twitter. I want to say on Friday it was big news because I got a news break on my phone from the FT, and I was like, "Really?" So he's back on Facebook.
Is he not?
So
is he not? He's not posting though, was he? Because I
have no idea what he's doing yet. I don't really follow him.
It's so great that he's totally back. But what is now?
Oh, did you miss him, Greg? Did you miss him?
Yeah, no, as I've been saying, I've got other gigs. For me, it's not the end of the world. But if he becomes president, it will be the end of the world.
Yeah, so as you say, if he becomes president again, I think we're all going to have to move to like another planet because this one's done.
Yeah, there is no planet B. We better. The Dutch will make one.
The Dutch will build a dike.
But he's got his Truth Social now, I believe.
Yeah. No, I thought that went out of business. Didn't they had financial problems? Truth Social. It was a SPAC. I thought it was a SPAC, and what happened is that they couldn't get enough members to do the vote, and I think it went out. I think it filed for bankruptcy or it pulled it, and they don't have the Truth Social, and it doesn't have a lot of members. Yeah, and there was an article. The FT girl went to Mar-a-Lago. And at one point, there used to be thousands of people in front of Mar-a-Lago. They were telling her, and now there's like 30 of them that are supporting him. So his popularity, for lack of a better term, I think, is dwindling down. Not that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, will be any better, but at least he's saner, or appears to be a little more saner than the other guy.
Well, there's like there's the book about I think Stephen Fry wrote a book about what if you can go back and kill Hitler, and then they put something in the water when he was a boy, and it's like Hitler never existed, and then someone took over instead of Hitler, who did not open up a second front against the Russians, and he won World War II, and then everybody's speaking German. So be careful what you look for. But
so this is, for us, it's interesting over here because
a gentler Trump, but
I don't know. I think Hitler. I don't want to say Trump has a Hitler. I think it's almost like a Mussolini and kind of a Stalinist.
I think that's more Godwin's law there, right?
Yeah, I think I look at him more like that. Not Hitler, because I don't think he's going to run around and put the Jews in concentration camps, and I don't think he's going to put the Asians in internment camps like they did during World War II. But I think he's very Mussolini-ish, and I think he's, like I said, very Stalinish. Yeah, well, sorry guys, there's a wall. But I mean, I think that's the issue, and I think what's happening is there's other idiots now in Congress and the Senate and governors that are giving bullshit rhetoric, and I have a feeling that they are like Ron DeSantis. Like I said, he's not as wacky, so it seems, but he's still wacky enough. So I think he's got a shot. I don't know. Trump didn't help anybody get elected, like Herschel Walker. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I don't know in the 2024 what's going to happen if Trump. I don't think he's going to get the nomination. The problem is we have Biden, and even though he's doing good stuff, Biden is a million years old. No one likes Harris. So like she being a heartbeat away, I don't think is giving anybody a lot of comfort. The Democrats don't have anybody, as far as I know, or that I can see, where they'd be like, hey, I'm going to run. And people are like, whoa. So if it's really, I heard someone say yesterday that's a Democrat, but if it's between, they said Biden and Trump, they said I'd almost go for Trump. And I was like, that's pretty bad. So it's really.
It's so early. And it's really, I mean, there are poll numbers I've seen as well. And I mean, if you're counting out Trump at this point, like, that's what we did at this point, before the 2016 election, up until this 2016 election. But anyway, yeah, there's a great. I mean, there's no better treatment of the Democratic candidate selection than this Saturday Night Live short.
Oh yes, those are the best.
That was from the Halloween episode this past year, I believe. And yeah. So who's going to be the new Democratic nominee? And I think at one point somebody just says like, I don't know, I guess Kamala Harris just gets slapped. Are we going to debate it? Like, no, we're just going to show a slap to the face and move on. I'd be excited about Pete Buttigieg. I don't know if America would, but then people have talked about some of the Democratic governors, like Gavin Newsom, as we've heard of.
Right.
There might be
he's not doing well.
But anyway.
Gavin doesn't do well. Gavin during COVID went to the French Laundry, and I'm like, dude, if you're trying to be president, you got to set the example.
Yeah.
And Buttigieg, I think, would be interesting, but I just don't think America's yet. I think they're okay if you're a black, you could be a Jew, you could be a lesbian, but you can't be a gay male. I don't think they're ready yet for a gay male, which is really kind of bad. Yeah. So, but I mean, I don't know who the Democrats have. I mean, the Republicans have a whole list of nuts. So for them, it's relatively simple. It's like, boy, pick anybody. You're good. On the Democrat side, I think they go to battle on the wrong subjects. They hang their hat on the wrong thing. Yeah. They don't really have a clue. And it doesn't really help it doesn't help your case when you go to battle on, something ridiculous. And the Republicans are like, boom, boom, boom. And the Republicans, I will say one thing. I don't know who does their marketing, but the Republicans have Steven, I don't know what you are, but I'm using you as an example. Yeah. Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, Martin Scorsese, marketing guys. They know how to get people excited and get them pumped. The Democrats are using 1960 Sea Hunt and Lassie guys, and people are just like, that's good, that's fine, they're all black and white, and so that's a problem. And I think the Democrats are going to have to put their big boy pants on going forward and still be honest, not the ridiculous, the election bull, all that crap, but be honest. But I don't know if they know how to have any balls. I think they're just mamby-pambies, and then that's a problem. I think Americans want, and Trump did that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he got elected. Plus, it didn't hurt that you had a television series, and it didn't hurt that you've been in the public eye since the 1980s.
Well, again, that's SNL. I mean, the
SNL helped
monologue. Dave Chappelle, I thought, did a really good little retrospective on the appeal of Trump. He says, "I live in Ohio, and these are my neighbors. I remember when Trump did that, national debate with Hillary." And I believe I'm quoting Dave Chappelle correctly, but you can look it up yourself. But he basically said, when Trump, responded to, "You don't pay your taxes," and he said, "That makes me smart. I would change I would, pay my taxes, but that's the law, and you would change the tax code, but I know you won't because you have these wealthy donors, just like I've donated to your campaign in the past." And so. I believe, quoting Dave Chappelle, that was when a star was born. When I believe the line was like, it was like the dude came out of the house and said, "Everything you think we've been doing in that house is exactly what we've been doing in that house." And then he went right back in and kept on doing.
Yep.
But so anyway, that's a lot of the appeal. Not just that.
Do you think that the American people may well have forgiven him for a lot of sins, Trump, but not for storming of the Capitol? Do you think that was a bridge too far for him politically?
Unfortunately, it was such a big shockwave, but now that the reverberations have kind of died out, it's just, a lot of Americans
nobody cares.
Short memory.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, well, and again, like his company was indeed, they got the tax returns. They found that his company was guilty, and he got a punishment of like 15 million. What was it in New York? And slap on the wrist. So I don't think you're going to see him locked up or, charged with
And the secret document thing is nothing, because now they're finding all the ex-presidents and vice presidents all have secret documents at their house, which blows my mind. Let me get this straight. I'm the president, and when I leave, I get to take my I don't want these documents.
Right.
Like I did my job for 4 years or 8 years or whatever it is. I'm good. Keep them.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. So basically, I'm sure if we go back to however far you want to go, everybody has these documents.
Well, up till Jimmy Carter, because he passed a law, so he's the only one who's exempt from Jimmy Carter backwards.
Yeah.
So see, Jimmy was a smart peanut farmer. Loved Jimmy because he doesn't have lust in his heart. And when he saw Playboy, he said he had lust in his heart. See, the Jimmy. That's for people listening. They're going to be one, who's Jimmy Carter? He was the president of the United States at some time, right before Reagan. And two, they're not going to have a clue about that reference unless they actually read. And most of the people today don't read. So there you go.
Yeah.
So
well, certainly not the people who are watching this show anyway.
Please.
But don't forget to turn down your thermostat and wear a sweater.
Yep. Jimmy was like your uncle when he became president. It's like, oh look, our uncle became president. How did this happen? So but it was a different time in America. Like he was perfect for it, and then when he screwed up the rescue in Iran, he became unperfect for it. Terrible. And then all of a sudden, the Reagan people were back dealing with Iran and Russia. So when Reagan became president, it was like, look what happened. And I read the book on it, and it was fascinating that when this failed attempt happened, all of a sudden the Reagan people we can get Ronnie elected, and they did all these backdoor deals so nothing would happen until Reagan became president. So the day he became president, the day the hostages got released, they worked on that for almost 2 years or whatever to get that. And I was fascinated by that. So that's the crap that goes on. So,
you remember how Nixon got caught doing Watergate? Well, they learned their lesson. The next time they did not get caught.
Yeah. There you go. No one's gotten caught since. So, but see, we talked about Nixon last night. My wife said to me, what do you think of Richard Nixon? Because she's watching a special. And I said, I like Nixon. I mean, I know he wasn't the best. He took us off for the gold. He did this, he did that. I said, but at the end of the day, he did for his time, he did the best he could do. And I said, so, you know what I mean? So, I mean, overall, I've read a bunch of books. I liked what Tricky Dicky was about. I liked what he did. Would he play well today? Probably not. He would be. I think people would look him as like a Donald Trump.
He did have the good sense to call it the war on drugs and not black communities.
That went over well.
I mean, he should have learned how to shave as well. That was also a bad thing.
That was
the other thing. The other bit of trivia that I found out about Mr. Tricky Dick, as you guys called him, is that his hands were always wet. He had this this nervous thing. He had to go off to the John before he met anybody. So he always sort of came out after washing his hands to make sure it was super clean and everything. So. There you go.
Well, listen, he hung out with Elvis. How bad can he be?
So. He did Disciplinary Act, I believe. He did some big environmental thing. So I'm not a fan of Nixon, but I got to admit, a stopped clock is still right twice a day.
There you go. Well, here's the good thing. He did some cool things in environmental. The first environmental president was Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah. He's the one who did all the big environmental stuff, which was very cool. A
lot of national parks and all that.
Now national parks and all that. So so they all did one thing right. What always bothered, and also
they all left.
Wait, no. Here's what really bothers me: where Nixon doesn't get credit. If this Obamacare bullshit, that was Richard Nixon started that back when he was president to have that. So really, when people talk about it, in 1973, Nixon started what they call Obamacare. So when they keep going, it's Obamacare, I'm like, no, it's Richard Nixon care. Because Richard Nixon is the one who started it, and couldn't get it because he had that little problem with Watergate, couldn't finish his thing.
Yeah,
so Nixon's the one who started it.
The Richard Nixon care does not doesn't have the romance of the Obamacare, does it?
How about Tricky Dick care? I like that. I would sign up for Tricky Dick care.
Yeah.
So. That was before Viagra.
There you go. Viagra care. Yeah. There you have it.
Yeah. Come and trick your dick. There you go.
Oh my God. I think, gentlemen, before we go down another rabbit hole, first of all, Greg, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll come back soon. David's going to play the ending credits, so don't leave because he's going to want to talk to you after because he's very excited about his ending credits now. He drinks heavily. Guys, thank you for watching. Subscribe and like. Mr. Shapiro, I'm sure we'll come back and we'll talk about God knows what then. There you go. And we have it. It's been scrolling the whole time, my friend, below, so people can see.
Nice.
So they'll see it, and we'll put it in the show notes as well. David, I'm giving David time to get the ending credits up because I pulled the David on him today. Usually he tells me to shut up.
He did, yeah, he did. But great, stay with us because we hopefully we're going to be able to do some stuff with you as well. And I'll just this is but yeah, it's come to an end.
Good.
I wish you lots of success with your show going forward.
And the movie. And Krazy House with a K.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
And here we go.
We're almost.
No, it's okay. There's this mellow music for old people, and then the hard rock and roll comes, and that's where David has inserted his speaking part, which is very fascinating. And then we give credit to our production company, which is, what's it called, Dave? Our production company?
It's called God Save Us All, I think it's called.
Yeah, God Save Us All. That's our production company. So David's British.
God Save Us All, but yeah, well, it's going to be Church of England then.
Oh, nice. Another thing I don't believe in. And here we go. Rock and roll time. Here's where David starts to speak. It's very exciting.
Well, sadly, this is the end of today's show. A really big thank you to everyone who contributed today to the show. And of course, thank you to my co-host, Stephen Oldfart. I'm David Oldfart. Don't forget, subscribe to the show and get all the latest updates from Two Old Farts Making Noises.
Ooh, there's the subscribe thing. And here we go with the credit. This is David's favorite part. And then we're going. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching today. Have a wonderful day. We almost mean that. You can add more music.